102.5 FM, KXSFLP San Francisco, and KXSF.FM.
You're tuned into Spark, informing minds, inspiring ideas, igniting innovation. Let the conversation sink into your soul.
This is Kellee Marlowe, host of Spark. More than 35 million Americans live in households that struggle with hunger. 1 in 10 households in the U.S. experience food insecurity. Millions of low-wage earners are barely getting by week to week. They worry about how to pay rent and put food on the table. They need government programs, including food stamps and Medicare, on top of working full-time jobs just to get by. How can we support those who are on the brink of despair? Today, I'm talking with Jimmy Chen, who is working to address this challenge through his Propel platform and company. Thank you for joining me on Spark today, Jimmy.
Of course. Thanks for having me here.
Can you talk about what is going on in the low-income group of people in the United States?
Yeah, I think over the past year, the pandemic has hit low-income Americans especially hard, as is too often the case. People that were already financially vulnerable have really felt the worst effects of the economic impacts as well as the health impacts of the pandemic. At Propel, we build an app for people on food stamps, also known as SNAP benefits. And we've known that at the start of the pandemic, about 80% of our users who were working had lost their jobs. And the recovery over the past year has been seen, but it hasn't been even. And more than half of those who lost their jobs at the start of the pandemic have not recovered them yet. And worse yet, our data shows that it's disproportionately impacting Black workers at roughly twice the rate of everyone else.
What are the top challenges they need support in getting addressed at this time?
I think it starts from this question of what is the income that people are able to bring in? What are the work opportunities and what are the opportunities for advancement and continued earning through those jobs? Are people able to work jobs and earn enough money to be able to pay their rent and pay for all their bills? That's sort of the starting point. What we work on at Propel is a different but also highly important thing, which is what are the social safety net supports that are available for people who need some kind of financial help. So we focus on the food stamp program, which is used by about 45 million Americans across the country each month to help them to afford their groceries.
Can you talk about what SNAP or Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program is and how it works?
SNAP is the official name for the food stamp program, and it is a benefit that any family whose income is under a certain amount can receive. SNAP is really focused on helping families put food on the table by giving them a benefit that can then be spent at grocery stores on unprepared food. As I mentioned, there are about 45 million Americans who receive SNAP benefits each year. That's about 1 in 8 families throughout the United States is currently receiving SNAP benefits, a fairly popular program. And SNAP benefits are distributed on an EBT card, which looks like a debit card, but it only works at grocery stores on food. And so people use it to purchase their kind of stake of weekly groceries.
And how are you solving through Propel in terms of implementing SNAP in a way that's effective and benefits those who are on the program?
When we started Propel, I spent a lot of time talking to people who were getting SNAP benefits to find out more about what their day-to-day experience was. And one of the things that I learned is that if you have one of these EBT cards that SNAP benefits are loaded on, the way you check your balance is you call the 1-800 number on the back of the card. I thought that was a little odd because I know that most people who get SNAP benefits, and just most Americans, period, have smartphones. And so I asked, why isn't there a mobile banking app or a way to use your phone to be able to see your balance the same way that you would if you had a credit card or a bank account somewhere else? We never found a great answer to that question. And so we built the country's first mobile banking app for the EBT card that allows people to skip calling that phone hotline and instead to use our free mobile app available on the iPhone and the Android to be able to see their balance, see their transaction history, to set a budget, and so on.
Then does your app tie to the SNAP program itself?
It does. The app is called the Fresh EBT app. And the way it really works is that it is a companion for the EBT card and that it helps you know your balance and see your transaction history at a moment's glance so that you can use your EBT benefits in whatever way you choose.
And it's interesting how it helps people to budget. Can you talk about that?
Sure. I mean, I think the first step towards setting a budget when it comes to your SNAP and your EBT benefits is knowing how much you have. So the average family gets about $250 in SNAP benefits each month. And if you have to check your balance by calling this 1-800 number, it can be hard to just keep in mind how much you even have left. That's sort of the first step for us, is we just help you be able to access at a moment's notice exactly how much you have left on your card, and that's the first step towards setting a budget. But we also want to go beyond that. We have a variety of features in Fresh EBT that aim to help our users use their benefits throughout the month as they intend to. We hear from our users that one of the pain points of being on SNAP is that it's often hard to make this benefit stretch throughout the month. If you think about $250 across the family paying for food every day, that only averages about $1.70 per person per meal. That's not a lot of money. Figuring out how you're going to budget and stretch those benefits throughout the month can be a real challenge. We have a variety of features helping our users to set a weekly budget or to see their transaction history and to categorize by retailer. I think are all sort of on this journey of helping people to stretch this benefit as far as they can.
Well, budgeting is difficult for most people, no matter what financial situation you're in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it sounds like the children are most affected when SNAP benefits run out before the end of the month. So it sounds like it's really helpful for the families who really need to understand what they have for everyone.
That's totally right. So the majority of our users, and actually the majority of families in the United States who receive SNAP benefits, are families. About 90% of people who use Fresh EBT have a child under the age of 18 at home. And so when we think about what kind of software we are trying to build or who we are building for, we really think of a mother who has children and think about what are the features that she really needs in order to put food on the table and to think about helping our family make it to the next month.
Sounds like not only are they able to now track their benefits, they're also able to then figure out how much they can spend each week, and hopefully it lasts till the end of the month before the next benefit kicks in.
Yeah, that's right. You know, we started Fresh EBT as just a better way to check your balance. And over the last few years, the app has really evolved and grown because we've heard from our users that they want our help in not just knowing their EBT balance, but also in the other types of financial transactions that they need to do to make it through the month. In Fresh EBT, when you check your balance on your food stamps, we also show you ways that you can save money on groceries, but also on your heating bill, and also on your home internet, and also on your cell phone bill. We show you ways that you can make more money. What are the employers who are hiring near you? What are the on-demand platforms that have open jobs? What are the seasonal work opportunities? And we also post all of those inside the app. And so what we're really trying to build with Fresh EBT is to make it a broader hub that is really focused on this same person. This is someone who's using food stamp benefits, maybe has some financial need. And what are the things that we can do to help that person stretch what they have and then make it through the month?
I think most people need help managing their mobile bills and their energy bills at home because it's probably really high, right, for most people.
That's one of the things that I always reinforce about what we build at Propel, that building software for people that are using safety net services or people that are in financial need, that's most American families at some point in their lives. And the way that the safety net works is that you may not need the safety net all the time, but if you experience a financial shock, as many families did in 2020, whether it's a lost job or a medical bill or something else, that we have a publicly funded safety net composed of programs like the food stamp program that exists to help you to get back on your feet. And the premise of what we build at Propel is we think that the safety net can be more effective through technology, and that by building a modern software piece on top of this fantastic SNAP program, that we have the ability to reach more people. We have the ability to help people stretch their benefits and find the other things that they qualify for, but they haven't signed up for yet.
But currently, the app is only for those in the SNAP program.
That's right.
And then it sounds like you're expanding out in terms of what they can manage, whether it's their energy bills, their mobile cost of ownership, and so on. Is that correct?
Our ultimate goal is to build an app that helps anyone who is low income or who is limited income to make it through the month. And we know that making it through the month isn't a single transaction. There's no silver bullet, that you have to get a bunch of things right. You have to manage a bunch of different payments and a bunch of different sources of money. And so that's what we want to do, is we're really focused on the same person, as someone who's low income and is maybe experiencing some financial trouble, and we want to take that stress off of your plate.
It sounds like, though, your customers or clients need to possess a mobile phone and be savvy with technology in managing their benefits.
They do need to possess a mobile phone. We certainly try to build and design the Fresh EBT app to make it as simple as possible. We've got folks who have never used a smartphone before who are using Fresh EBT as the primary application on their phones. And we've tried to build and design it in an intuitive way that makes it easier to pick up. But you are right that because it's a smartphone application, someone has to have a smartphone in order to use the app. Now, there actually is a federal program called the Lifeline program, where anyone who signs up for a benefit like Food Stamps or Medicare can get a free cell phone. A free smartphone that has a free data plan is available for anybody who's receiving one of these government programs, and really any American who's receiving those programs is eligible to use the Fresh EBT app.
That makes sense now, because my understanding is that because of the financial challenges, a lot of times they end up losing their phone, or they don't have the same number anymore, and it's like an ongoing challenge. But in this case, because they can get a free phone from the Lifeline program, it makes this possible for them in terms of using the application and being able to access SNAP in a more effective way.
And the Lifeline program is so important because in 2021, having a smartphone is such an essential thing to being able to find a job or being able to know information about what's happening to various programs or keeping in touch with your family and friends. The smartphone really is essential. It's important. People who maybe don't have the financial means to be paying a monthly bill still have the ability to get a smartphone that has a data plan so they can do sort of those core things that we kind of have become pretty required in 2021.
What motivated you to start the Propel platform to solve this challenge?
I grew up in a loving and supportive family that also had its share of financial challenges. I think like a lot of American families, we had our ups and downs. I was fortunate to go to college on a full scholarship where I learned how to code and ended up working at a few software companies in Silicon Valley. In 2014, I got the idea of, could I take the things that I had learned in my career as a software engineer and as a product manager in these tech companies and apply them towards solving the types of challenges that I saw firsthand growing up? Why is it that low-income people and people that are maybe struggling financially don't have the best software that's built on their behalf? So I started Propel with this idea of taking the playbook of Silicon Valley and applying it to low-income Americans, and was able to build the first version of the company through a nonprofit called the Robin Hood Foundation, and a program inside of that called Blue Ridge Labs, which helps new tech entrepreneurs identify challenges faced by low-income Americans and start companies that solve those challenges. That was 2014, and we've been working on software challenges applied to low-income Americans, and in particular on the food stamp program ever since.
How are you able to financially sustain as a social enterprise?
Propel is a for-profit company. I mentioned that the app is free and it's available to everyone. We also don't charge any government or public sector entities to use the app. It's free for the government as well. The way that we make money is that we help our users to save money and find different types of jobs, and we are paid by those types of third parties. Our customers are, for example, the cell phone company that is promoting something to help you save money. They are the grocery stores that are promoting ways to help our users to save money through grocery coupons. They are the employers who are trying to hire people who are on our platform. The reason we like monetizing in this way is that it allows us to cover our costs while also doing something that is actually net positive for our users. People who use the app find value in seeing these job postings and find value in seeing these ways to manage their mobile bill. We really see that as a win-win.
Then the third-party vendors are showing ads on your software to the Snap clients.
It's a little different than ads you might see elsewhere throughout the internet because of a couple of reasons. The first is that all of the ads are manually sourced. We don't do what's called programmatic advertising, where we have a machine choose among a huge pool of content what we're going to show people. We only have about 40 customers on the platform, and we've manually sourced those customers because we really want to focus only on third parties that are focused on helping our users either save money or make more money. We really do screen our customers based on, do we think that their offer is in the financial best interest of our users or not. The other way that we're a little different from the average ads platform is because the content is exclusively limited to things that help our users to tangibly save money or make more money, that our users see the content inside the app as a feature and not as an ad. There's actually a reason why you might use Fresh EBT is because it helps you find all the best coupons.
How many people are using Propel Fresh EBT to manage their benefits today?
There are more than 4 million families that are using Fresh EBT right now.
And the market is 45 million?
That's right.
Wow, it's pretty big. Do you see the direction of the platform in terms of managing financials. And it sounds like you're also trying to help people find jobs. Maybe the expansion then would be towards how can we help low-income people place in various jobs? Is that the way to look at where the evolution may be going?
One way to think of it is we started off helping people manage their government programs like the food stamp program. But what we're really interested in is the overall financial health of someone's household. There are many things that can affect your overall financial health. It includes, as you said, your employment, but also includes things like can you pay for your cell phone bill and can you pay your rent and can you pay for healthcare and so on. That's sort of what we see the future holding for us at Propel, is that we feel like we've built something that is useful to these 4 million families who use it already, and that we've earned their trust by continuing to put content in front of them that is effective and that helps them to improve their financial health by saving money or making more money. And as we grow, we want to continue to earn their trust and respect so that we can continue to help them across a variety of the different financial challenges that we know that these families face. So things like employment, things like their banking and financial services.
Many are unbankable. Do you think you can help them address that issue in terms of becoming bankable?
I do. Yeah, I do. And to be clear, these people are not unbankable. They just generally don't have a bank account or that they're not using their bank account to its full extent. I think one of the challenges is that historically the banking industry isn't really set up to serve this consumer. That if you think about the traditional bank that has a bank branch, they have pretty high costs. And their business is focused more on people who have more money, who are able to take out a mortgage or to get a car loan. So for our users, people that are lower income and for whom that is not in the immediate short term, there has to be a different type of business model to be able to serve that person effectively. And that's one of the things that we are trying to build at Propel right now, is a way to help low-income Americans get access to a bank account in a way that is very specific to the needs and the characteristics of people who are using safety net services like food stamps.
There's still a large group that's taking their checks to the convenience store and paying a really high fee to have it cashed instead of going to the bank.
And that's a good example of this popular phrase that it's expensive to be poor. And that's one of the ways that it shows up, and it shows up in a lot of different areas as well, that if you are somebody who is low income, often you are asked to pay more for a variety of things. And cashing a check is a fantastic example of that. If you are someone who's higher income and has access to a bank account that has a really fancy mobile app, you probably don't think twice that you can deposit that check into your account and it's free. But if you're low income and you don't have that kind of bank account, or maybe you have that kind of bank account, but you need the money now, you often are charged a fee at a check casher or somewhere else to be able to access those funds sooner. So that, I think, is one of the parts of the financial system that a lot of people feel is pretty unfair. Is one of the things that we'd like to address in the long term through the software that we are trying to create.
If there's a way that you could help them, let's say, create a bank account, would it be through, let's say, something similar to PayPal then, unless the banks change their practices or they get comfortable going to a bank and really start that relationship? I think the question is like, how do they have access to bank services?
Yeah, that's right. What we are building right now is actually, we're not building a bank. So we aren't trying to become a bank ourselves, but we are also not exactly sending our users to an uncomfortable and unknown kind of bank. And so what we're doing is something that's kind of in the middle, where we are partnered with a bank that is a legal chartered bank and co-branding a banking product. We are going to be able to promote a bank account to our users that has our FreshEBT brand on it, a brand that is known and trusted. But we have a partner bank who is essentially the bank that where the money is being stored and that is owning sort of the financial and the compliance piece of it.
Can you talk about Project 100, how it came about and how it works?
Project 100 came about in the early months of the pandemic when we just started to ask ourselves, what is the simplest way to help people that are experiencing an unprecedented amount of financial need? And the answer was, let's give our users some money. Just giving money to as many people as possible was one of the best ways and simplest ways we could help people to navigate the pandemic. We met the team directly. They are a 501c3 that has done cash transfers throughout the world and is quite experienced in navigating those types of programs. And we collectively, along with Stand for Children, which is another nonprofit, decided to put together the Project 100 platform, which is the ability to take charitable gifts and give them directly to people who use FreshEBT. We know that if you use Fresh EBT, you are receiving food stamp benefits, and so you're probably in some fairly serious financial need. And Project 100 is really just a way to get money into those people's hands as quickly as possible. We announced Project 100 last April and have been really fortunate that there's been a lot of generous people who have responded to it. To date, we've given away more than $140 million through Project 100. That makes it probably the largest cash transfer program in the history of the United States that has not been run through the government. And we are excited about continuing the program onward. At project100.us, you can see more information about the program and also instructions to give if you happen to be in a financial position where that's possible. All of the money goes directly to people who are getting food stamps in the United States.
Sounds like an amazing program. What do you think we can do as a society to lift those that are on the brink of despair during this time?
There are practical things, and that's a lot of what we focus on as a company, is what are the direct ways we can help people get more money in their wallet, help people get more food on the table, help people get a better bank account or more health insurance or a higher wage. Those are all things that I think are practical. There are ways you can do that through policy. There are ways that you can do that through technology. And so I do want to start there as an important way to help people that are on the brink. But I think there is an emotional piece of this too that I think anybody can really engage in, which is to just try to better understand the day-to-day experiences of people that are low income. I think one of the challenges of the pandemic is that it has created a really disproportionate impact in certain communities versus others. I am fortunate that I can continue working. And because we're a technology company, we can do our jobs anywhere. And a lot of Americans don't have that luxury. And just to remind ourselves that there are lots of people, our neighbors, are really struggling throughout this pandemic. And providing that amount of empathy, I think, is a really great starting point.
You're helping the low-income group. What about those that are in between that are also struggling? Are there safety nets for them as well?
There are, and it depends on the program, what the income level you need to qualify for the program. The way that we really think about our work at Propel is that we all pay into this social safety net programs like food stamps and Medicaid and housing assistance and so on, because when financial shocks hit, there needs to be a safety net that people can fall back on in order to be able to provide for the basics being food or health or housing and so on. While there are lots of middle-income families that are definitely not having it too easy, that are dealing with their own set of financial challenges, our focus at Propel really is on people who are lower income. Generally, the average person who uses the Propel platform is making about $15,000 per year, that our users, by virtue of being on the food stamp program, are under 130% of the poverty line. And that's really the group that we focus on. And our belief is that actually it's not a static group. People who are receiving food stamps right now might not be receiving them in 6 months, and someone who is sort of classified as middle income in 6 months might experience a financial shock and be in this group in the future. And so our belief is building a really strong safety net helps to make those types of financial setbacks more temporary.
Thank you for sharing how Propel is innovating fintech for those most in need. And thank you for joining me on Spark today, Jimmy.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.